welcome to the first Blacklist podcast. I am your host, Tiffany Peterson, founder of 3Wealth and Create You. Today, we have co-founder Greg Nyce joining us for a special episode following the first Blacklist weekend, along with our guests, DJ Mar and DJ Tranz. How are you guys doing today?
Good. What up, though?
Awesome. You can't complain?
No, I can complain about my technical issues that I had prior to this meeting, but yeah, other than that, we good.
We are good. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this episode this evening. And so, Greg, right quick, I just want you to know that I am still trying to recover from the Blacklist weekend. I've been going to bed early, like 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9, all this week, trying to catch up on sleep, if that is such a thing, right?
Right.
I just want to know what ignited the idea for you to host the Blacklist weekend.
What ignited the idea? I'm sorry. Your sweet touch is good. I think it was always an idea. Matter of fact, I know it was always an idea from go. It was just a question of when, what type of support would be there, et cetera, et cetera. I will say, I was bouncing it off. I was talking to Lamar, DJ Mar. We had a conversation. And unbeknownst to him, he called me and was just like, man, I think one day we should do XYZ. Like, yo, I've been kicking that idea around. I actually said it a couple times, this, then the other. So, like, when he said it, it was just like, man, I'm just going to do it. So, yeah. So, it was always an idea. Okay. It was just a question of when. And then when we had the conversation we had, it was just like, all right, I'm about to just go do it.
Okay. So you had like a little push in the background and got your pieces together and everything came together. That's okay. Awesome. Well, the weekend recently wrapped up. Can you guys tell me what were some of your highlights and most memorable moments from the event?
Any order, or who you want to go?
No, we can go. Just go for it. Anyway.
I'll let y'all do it. Go ahead, guys.
For me, it was when we DJ on the radio, all we see is a name. So unless we actually know the person or seen them in person, it's hard to identify. So with me coming in and following Greg's show, half of his following will follow over because, either they're at work or they're not doing anything. Mm-hmm. So when people are walking in, I'm like, well, who's this and who's that? And a handful, but then you put the tag with the face and you're like, oh, okay. And then it starts to all make sense. So it's like you get a room full of people and you're used to having a cheat code on your screen so you know who's there.
Right.
Now you're in a room and you don't know who's there. So that was the cool part for me, like just actually meeting everybody that actually tunes in and are consistent.
Nice. What do you have, Tranz?
Similar. Putting faces with names, and most of the time I can't even pronounce half of those names. I have to listen to like Greg's show to be like, how did he just pronounce that? Choosy music, choosy lover, choosy. Because I sure enough jack it up. So a lot of times I just be like, yo, I see y'all in the chat. What up? And I keep it moving because I'd hate to like mess up somebody's name. But as far as most memorable event, behind the scenes, the fader incident, I would say it's the most memorable event. Here you got like 3-4 DJs trying to figure out what's wrong, malfunctioning. We're like, yo, I'm set up, I'm working. All of a sudden it's like, oh man, we got to go with plan B. Everybody's got to switch over to my setup because the mixer was not working. And then Lord, well, it was a simple switch that all I had to do be like flipped and everything started working. So that was definitely one of those funny moments where we're like switching out cables, switching out everything, setting it up. I mean, turning it off, turning it back on, trying to reset it, doing everything. And Sway just came up there. Hey man, something might be up in the front. And he hit the switch, click.
Oh, that wasn't him.
Oh,
he came up there moving buttons. And then like, wait a minute, something's off, because I know how it is when I DJ after my mentor Ty. and he goes the opposite way. So I hit the switch, and then I looked
Hipster
this way
style.
like, yeah, I looked this way like, come on, bro, like he just moved it down.
Yeah. Because the crazy thing is the mic was working and everything else wasn't. Like we couldn't hear in the headphones, we couldn't do anything. So basically what it is the faders were reversed. So what was open is really closed and what's closed is open. So we were like, man, ain't nothing working, man. And we were scratching our heads and it worked out. So I would say that was one of the most funniest behind the scenes things that went down, that happened, that everybody else was oblivious of. And it was like, yo, all right, let's rock out.
Yeah, this was at the Spice House.
Yeah.
Right, you could not tell because everybody. I don't know. Music. I feel like wasn't music still going in the background though?
No.
It was that.
Well,
side?
actually, I did a sound check with my stuff and then turned it off, and then we were like ready to go on and start.
Yeah.
So once we troubleshot what was going on, the system worked. Mar got out there and did his thing, and then we just kept it moving. But nobody else knew except for us four what was going on.
Okay. Okay. And I mean, Greg, I do want you to go, but I do want you guys to also talk about your synergy. I feel like, I don't know what it is, but y'all rocked the whole weekend. I mean, even like after the coffee shop towards the end, y'all hopping on. Tranz was the MC. He had the mic right quick. I tried to hop on for a split second and got shy. Gave it back to him. gave it back to him. Yeah. What's the thing?
I would say that the coffee shop, just the backdrop of Greg's show taking place in a actual coffee shop / distribution center all in one. I don't know if you got a tour, if anybody else got a tour, but me and the gentleman that owned it, he basically walked me all throughout the whole building. He was showing me, hey, these are the beans that are come from this part of the world and this part of the world. And and we was chit-chatting because I was like, yeah, because I've been to Tanzania. So this coffee that you got, like I've seen where this was grown at. Like I've actually toured that facility. And basically there's a map in that room that we was chit-chatting. I was like, yep, I've been to Java, I've been there, I've been in South America, I've been there, been there. And me and him, we was just chit-chatting. And then he was like, hey man, let me show you something. He took me to the back and I got to go back there. He gave me some samples of different beans and showed me the process and how he did everything. So I thought that was like super awesome. And then Greg is playing in the background in the coffee shop, doing the coffee shop scene, doing his show. And then the performers came on and did their thing. And it was like, we couldn't have scripted better. I don't think we scripted that way, but it just all worked out. And then the last minute, like, ad lib, I got on the turntable, started cutting, Mar started cutting, Greg started cutting, and he was like mingling with the crowd, and we just started just going bananas. And that we do that in his basement at his old house till like 2 a.m. So that was nothing new. Y'all just got to see what we normally do in the basement.
Yep. Well, it was love. It was, the whole weekend, it was such a vibe. But go ahead, Greg, what was some highlights and memorable moments for you over the weekend?
I think I'm not gonna lie, the dopest part for me was pretty much everybody that came into town. They were leaving, whether it was at the brunch, the skating ring, whenever a person came into town and they left town and they was basically saying goodbye. The coolest thing in the world to me was like they would come up to me, they'll hug me or dap me up or whatever, and they'd be like, man, I really enjoyed myself. I see you on Tuesday. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Like, so that kind of was the exclamation point to me, because it was like, dang, like I can't say it enough. And I know I get on the station and say it often. It's like to be able to do something like that out of a community that was virtual, like that's a community that was built in a chat room, right? And then for it to go from chat room to now we're in a physical location, kicking it with everybody. and then everybody still honor it the same way. Where it's like when it's done, I see you on Tuesday back in our digital space. So it's like, yeah, that did it for me. That was like, yeah, this was a good joint. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed myself over the weekend because, like you said, we felt like family. Blacklist has legit built a community of dope people, and I feel like the vibe was dope. Like it was cool all the way around. Like everybody, I don't know, I felt like everybody that was supposed to be there was there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like-minded. Everybody embraced each other. It was just love. So it was really good.
That's difficult to do.
It is.
Especially like I think that's probably slept on because we aren't like a lot of us who listen to the station come from roller skating background.
Mhm.
We're used to going places in the name of roller skating, right?
Correct.
We'll go to a national party, roll in the Carolinas, skate down, whatever. But we're there because of roller skating, right? We might know other people there. We might know the DJs there, et cetera, et cetera. But the thing that brought us to this location is roller skating. Where in this scenario is way different because the people who came legitimately was there on some, hey, we just want to hang out with y'all. That's different. You know what I
Right.
mean? That takes on a whole different type of thing because there's no one main like stimulation in place, right? It's just the idea of like, hey, we here to kick it with you. Whatever y'all got going on, that's what we here to do. And that's like for me, that's like beautiful on so many different ways because you get people to buy into who you are as opposed to the thing that you do
I
or
was gonna
you're
say that.
offering them some type of entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say that I think um the overall, like your overall character, Ty's overall character, I think, how the station was built, it was built for inclusion. It was
Yeah,
built for people,
yeah.
so people can come in and not feel like, oh, well, I'm not a skater, so I don't want to be a part of this community. Like the way that y'all built the community for people to just come in, vibe, pay, this and that. It's the way y'all set it up. It made it welcoming.
Well,
It made you want to be a part of something like that. So
that's dope.
applause to
Yeah,
you guys for that.
yeah,
Most definite.
yeah. That's my thing. That's the biggest thing. That's the highlights for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
The rest of it is, although I did think the performances that worked out perfectly, and then being intentional, like not telling nobody that that's what was going to happen. It wasn't promoted that was going to happen or nothing like that, but to make you feel, I actually I had a bigger picture in mind of what I wanted to do, but it just didn't pan out that way. Like my intention was, we actually were going to set up for anybody that's listening to this. We actually were going to set up in the back where Tranz took the tour at. That was the intention to
Mhm.
set up back there, and you could be next to the roasting machine and see all of those things, right? But as we got closer to it, some of the other pieces that I wanted to bring in, like I was looking at initially bringing in a full band, and then the band got downsized to an acoustic set. And then the acoustic set turned into, well, this setting in the room right here where we ended up being at, it felt way more intimate, right? So
Yes.
that got rid of the acoustic set altogether. And then the artists that I had to come perform, they all was like, oh, we just gonna send backtracks, which backtracks is basically an instrumental of their song with ad-libs on it. Where I wanted to do the acoustic thing, and it was like, we don't really need it. So I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. So all of these little things happened that and kept happening that not only kept overhead super low, but ultimately made it be perfect for what it was that we were trying to do. Yeah.
That's that's awesome. And I have always looked at you as a thinker, right? I feel like every time that you orchestrate something, you have an intention behind it. So I wanted to know, like, what was your overall intention for the Blacklist weekend? What did you want people to feel or gain from or
I would
take?
think community, community, community in the sense of like, it's like I don't never want nobody to feel like this person is better than this person or this person is greater than that person. I don't ever want nobody to feel like that. It's just about community. Like, yo, look, without y'all, that don't happen. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a Blacklist weekend without y'all because y'all, and then the little nuances, right? Like the bring your own cup crew. Some of the things that we say, like I guess the language that's said on the podcast, like the little inside jokes. None of that stuff exists without y'all. You know what I'm saying? So the idea was not just to play host to y'all, but also let y'all feel like this happened because of y'all too. It's not just, you know what I mean? Like all three of us sit here, we DJ and we're good at what we do, but you need other things in order to make something like this happen. And that's what the point of it was, at least to me. I was like, I want people to understand where you can go with community and how far you can go with community.
Right.
So,
Awesome.
give me 2 seconds. Let me go be a dad right quick.
Be
Ask
that.
something.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and move forward while Greg stepped out for a second. But I just want to know for you two guys. I know that Greg, he's very, like I said, he's very intentional with what he does, and being able to have y'all to be a part of the platform or for the weekend. You know, how did that make y'all feel to be invited to be, like I said, featured DJs over the weekend?
You want to go, Trent? You want me to go?
He's so smooth, ain't it? You want to go, Tranz? You want me to go?
Go first. So being able to DJ there in front of a live audience to interact with the people was definitely dope. Being included to do it, and then to do me, not skatish, not hey, this is what's going on. Let's like being able to bring the house doctor in.
Okay.
Because like when Greg and I had the conversation, he was like, yo, man, I want you to rock out. I was like, how you want me to rock out? Like, you want me coffee shop vibe or you want me to, you know, whatever. He said, no, just do you, bring the house doctor. I was like, okay, bet. I'm bringing a stethoscope. I'm going all out. And
standing around his neck and everything.
yeah, I'm like, yo, if I had a little white coat, if I could have did that, I was gonna put like house doctor on there, and I was gonna be out there like, yo, I'm making calls. Here we go.
Next time you have to do that lab coat.
I will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be making house calls, you know. And so to get to do me without any reservations of anything else is just like, go ahead and do you. At first, when I started playing my house set, I'm looking around the room and I'm like, okay, ooh, I might be losing them because I went a little too deep. And then all of a sudden I started loosening up and I was like, okay, just do you. Don't try and chase the room or anything like that. They'll pick up on it. And next thing you know, I'm like in my pocket and I'm feeling it and time is flowing. And I had my number one cheerleader there and she had the energy and, you know,
for sure.
she was there. She's like, look, I don't care if it's just me and you, because she acts like the way she was there, she acts like that if it's just me and her in the house here, just rocking out. She'll just be dancing all throughout the house, doing her thing. Right. And so when she started doing that, and the people that wasn't even part of our party that just happened to be there for the 40th birthday, that was actual real doctor.
Right.
When they got up and started dancing, and then we had Miss Donna, everybody was like digging out. I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm doing some of my own edits. I'm throwing down. All of a sudden, it's like, yo, I'm feeling it. I'm getting into it. And I think my set made that clear toward the end. And then Greg's like, yo, I got to let Suede on and let's go ahead and change because we had this other piece that he wanted to do. And then it just worked out perfectly. But I would say the unsung hero, DJ hero is, and I'm going to transition, has got to be DJ Mar because he brought the guns. He was he was definitely rocking every place, every time, bringing Mar's energy. So I would definitely say I was the number one roadie. He was the number one. Well, me and him both are like Greg's number one roadies, but that's an inside joke. But definitely, I got to give up mad respect to Mr. Mar for doing his thing. Because like every venue we was at, He started out, he set the vibe, he set the mood, and he kept doing him. And I thought that was awesome. So, Mar.
For me, it's a little different. Me and Greg, we got well over 20, talking about 03, 04. We got well over 22, 23 years in. You know, this isn't just my friend, my best friend, this is family, you know. So for him, he knows anytime he came in town at a gig, he called me, I'm there. No questions asked, I'm there. So for me, it's a no-brainer. If he's doing something, I'm going to support it. And I'm going to come and I'm going to give 1,000,000% because this is how you build your team. See, this works because everybody is their own personal superhero. We're like Marvel. Everybody has their power. So me coming in, I don't got to be the guy. I got a whole roster behind me. So you find your niche. I don't got to play house music. I can play it, but that's trance. You know, I don't got to go rooftop. That's Greg. I started off. And the energy just flows through everybody. So collectively, we all work together. And it's weird because when we get together, it's always like that. Whether it's a skate-a-thon picnic or just us meeting up in town or whatever, we're going to Greg's house or whatever the case may be, like it's always like that. No practice, just effortless. So for me being included, you know, I was going to be there whether I was DJing or not. I was coming in, you know, because, you know, when it was brought to me, Greg said, yo, you should come and get on this. I think it'd be dope for you to do. And I'm like, okay. So it started out with pop-up sets for me. So I would just pop in and just see what's going on because I do a lot of gigs as it is. So for me, I want to say these past 3-4 months has been very therapeutic for me because I can come in, I can play and dig into my hard drive and do things I can't do out on the mobile circuit or in the club or at a private party. I can actually just play music and enjoy doing it and not have the pressure of, hey, yo, can you play that? Can you play this song for me? Like you just kind of just feel it and just go with it. And I mean, me and Greg, we watch the numbers and the numbers just keep going up, you know, from people who don't even know anything else. I say, yeah, I got a radio show. And they're like, oh, well, let me tune in. And now every week it just builds and builds and builds. So, you know, I just got in where I fit in. I think the best scenario for me was to follow Greg because him coming into the DJ game, you know, and us having that first initial talk to see where he's at now, I'm proud of him. So that's what Blacklist is about. It's about family, you know. So me coming in and getting in the middle between Tranz and Greg, they're my bros. So we already do that on the regular. So why not get in on a Tuesday and make that a fun, full day of music? Because we all do that naturally when we're together.
That's a fact, yo. I don't think people know how difficult that is, like, because we're in I ain't even gonna get into the world part of it, socially speaking, because that's its own animal. But like, we're in a space where like you're trying to be your own individual, and unfortunately, in most scenarios, people feel like in order for me to be my own individual, I gotta kind of take a dump on everybody else around me. Where like he put it perfectly, like, no, you recognize what your superpower is and you bring that to the table, but you do it humbly. It's not like nobody's trying to one up nobody. You know what I mean? So like even with Tranz, like a wonderful story about Tranz is like he don't a lot of my coffee shop music that I play on my show, I got from Tranz, right? But when Tranz DJs, you would never know that because it's not what he plays typically. What he typically plays is more the music that he loves, which is house music, right? Another thing people don't know is when I was getting into turntablism and wanting to learn turntablism, he was one of the biggest advocates for it. I got 2 turntables because of Tranz, you know what I mean? Where he done switched up his whole his gear, if you will, to suit the type of music that he wants to play. You know what I mean? Where that's not something you commonly run into. You'll run into somebody who just look at you like, or they'll shade you, or if they're in a certain position, they'll do things to suppress you. You know what I mean? I give big kudos to Mar because he's in the mobile circuit, and when you know that's a dog eat dog circuit. You know what I mean? Like you run into people trying to undercut you. You run into people that's like, hey, why you hire him? I know him. He did such and such. You should hire me. You run into all of those things. So like even for him to come into the blacklist, and it's like, yeah, man, like just be your own person and find your own individuality along the way. It's very difficult to do because more times than not, you're gonna run into people like, and then we imperfect, we men, like at some point, ego's going to kick into it. And when they do, that's typically when the house of cards fall. So for me and him to have 20-year tenure, for me and Tranz to have better than a 10-year tenure now and have done the things that we've done, it's like I think we are pretty set on who we are and where we want to go. You know what I mean? And we all willing to work with each other in order to get to those spaces. You know what I mean? And we all see where like, hey, this is a benefit, not just to me. It don't matter. Like these guys came down here several times for not asking for a dime, not asking for a favor, not asking for a hookup, and completely set up my gear for a whole event. You know what I mean? Where it made me look like I was like Showtime at the Apollo. You know what I mean? They've done that for me several times, and I would do the same exact thing for them because that's how it should be. You know what I'm saying? That's how it should be, and that's why we're able to kind of like execute the way you did. Technically, again, what nobody would never know unless I told you right now is me and Mar playing the skating ring Sunday night. Tranz done alluded to a couple times. Nobody will never know, but like for me and him, that's like a elevated level of practice. Like we're not walking into the skating ring like, yeah, man, you ready for this? You ready? No, we did the same thing we did at the skating ring is the same thing we did at my mom's porch in Jersey when I came down here and bought my equipment. We just sat on the porch and it's the natural thing that we just have. You know what I mean? Like Tranz said, we'll do that. We done in my house till 2:00 in the morning several times. So at the skating ring, when we doing it and it's X amount of people in the building and we playing for them, it's kind of like you're welcome. And I don't mean that with no arrogance. I just mean it like, you know what I'm saying? So
Welcome to the basement. Y'all just didn't realize it.
it's kind of like that, you know what I mean? That's how we give it up. That's just how it is. So, and having that synergy, there's things Mar's going to do as a DJ that I just innately know. I know his timing. I know when he going to do something. I know when he not going to do something. I just know from being tapped in. Same thing with Tranz. I just know. So more times than not, we can play with each other and don't really got to say nothing to each other. You know what I mean? You sound like one band, one sound. So again, community, brotherhood, unity, like, and that's what the blacklist is about.
I love that. I mean, the support is there all the way around. I'm just enjoying listening to all of the different stories in general. And I think because each one of you have your own character, we can all learn from each other, right? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like, and Greg, I think you and I've had this conversation before, just being able to step into your own and be confident about who you are is going to allow you to draw your own crowd. Because I know, we're talking about, we're we're DJing. I know as DJs, y'all hear, dang, like more like you said at the very beginning, had a lady came and said, "Oh, y'all suck," whatever she said. So, whatever she said Sunday night, which was crazy. And I had
Was it the same lady that said something like that one night?
Nah, she wasn't there that night.
Oh.
Crazy thing about it is people don't understand, like, unless you do it, you can't critique it. Because this is a skill that, you have to practice, you have to love, you have to invest. Like you're talking about, this is the most expensive hobby you got.
Mm-hmm.
You're leaving out the house with no less than $7,000 worth of equipment, and your mixer covers probably 25% of that.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't getting the sound, or if you got lighting or pyro, none of that, photo booth, none of that. So when you come to me and you say something ignorant like that, like, "Oh, you guys were terrible," you don't even know the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into that craft. Like I flew from Jersey. Like I'm not out here to hear your negative thoughts. Like understand, like it's not always going to be perfect for you, but it was something different. And this is why the response has grown the way it's grown, because everybody's saying Sunday night was great. You're going to have people that are stuck in routine where they want to hear the songs in a certain order, and you got to do this. And there was an issue with we didn't split the floor. We didn't do men and women. That was a problem. It don't always got to be the same routine. Like in the environment and the energy's there, there's no direction. You just go. Like Greg told me 3 times, like, yo, so this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna let it cook. I took off. He's like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing now. All right. And just got on it. Like it just was that. Like I just wanted to go. I'm like, nah, let's just go. And he heard it in the music. I didn't have to say nothing. He came back and just laughed, like, okay, let's go, let's cook. And that's what it was.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed Sunday night and drove back. Like we skated hard for like legit 2 hours and drove back 4 hours back to Charlotte. Went to work. I'm talking. I was hurting Monday morning. Anyways, let's get back.
I was gonna say it's a interesting space because like him, and I tell Tranz this all the time. Like when he came and played, Lamar's from Jersey, so he's used to the Jersey Philly sound, especially when it come down to skating, right? So the idea is like, yeah, you coming down here, you playing First Sunday, but be you. Don't come down here and like try to play what we typically play in Atlanta or try to play the national skate sound. No, be you. And at that point, people, like he said, you can't critique it unless you've done it, because the everyday person coming in there, first of all, you have no idea the level of like laser focus and confidence you got to have to come in there and be like, I'm not from here. I'm going to make sure that I touch some things from here, but I'm gonna be myself. That take mad confidence. You know what I'm saying? That take mad confidence. And we're in a space, and this is no disrespect to none of our peers, but we're in a space where you don't get that often. You know what I'm saying? People are going to go in and they're going to, just like radio has top 40, skating ring has top 40. And a lot of times people are going to go to the skating ring and they're going to play top 40 because they feel like they have to appease. So when you're dealing with people like Tranz will come in there. I could go in there right now. Like if Tranz come, right? And we play a First Sunday together, I'm not going to split the floor and say men and women only, but I will say trains and trios, and I'm going to walk away and let him, go crazy. You know what I mean? Because he should have the opportunity to go up there and say, this is DJ Tranz, right? Otherwise, what's the point? Like, we can put one person in the box and let them do it every Sunday from now until the end of eternity. You know what I mean? Right. It don't make no sense. And then, like he said, Mar, we walk out the house with $7,000 worth of. Well, you think I bought all of this stuff to come down here so you could tell me what to play? Like, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you give me half of the bread for my laptop and we can have a conversation.
All right.
And that's kind of how. And again, but you can't say that, because if you say that, then you're being arrogant or you're being an a-hole, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, no, just use your mind. You know what I mean? And then there's another session next week. So if you hold on to the 10 that you spent this week and just use it next week, you can get some nachos and the music that you want to hear. You don't have to come this week. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's how
I would have reached in my pocket and just said, how much was it? Admission? Oh, $10. Here you go. Go home.
Yeah.
But
you did that before.
Like, you skated all night. You skated all night, and your face literally is filled up with sweat. And you come over there and say that, like, nah, you enjoyed it. You just didn't know how to just say, yo, you really did a nice job. Because it could be, and it's another thing, when you go to certain places, you got people who don't like the DJ. There may be some people that don't like Greg for whatever reason. Maybe he's not Brian, or he's not Ty, or whatever the case may be. And they hold that against him when he's just trying to do his job. And then when I come in to work with him, because I'm working with him, now I get the same beef he got.
What circumstances? Yeah.
It's because I'm next to him. So, I mean, it could just be that. Like, she just don't like what Greg does. But yet you came there. You drove there. Like, you ate dinner and you got dressed and you came to the rink. You stayed all night to say, y'all suck. Thank you. Like,
you had a choice to leave. You legit had a choice to leave.
Trust me, Rink would have probably gave her money back if she did it within the first like half hour, but she stayed.
Yeah. And going through those beats, like having those experiences over time, coming into the skate ring and seeing those things, like that made me move on the trajectory that I move on as a DJ. That's why things like the Blacklist is so personal to me, because it's like, yo, y'all don't know it, but I know what it means to go into a space and be here, and any other DJ would know it. Like, you know what it's like when somebody call you and be like, hey, I'm having an anniversary party, or it's my birthday, or it's my sister such and such, and we need a DJ. They're not calling you because you're a DJ such and such. They're calling you because we need a DJ, right? And we know what that's like, and we know what it's like to bid for those gigs. We know what it's like to come there and pretty much put up the status quo for those gigs. We know what it's like to want to play other stuff and can't. We know those struggles. So the Blacklist is personal because it's the one place where you can actually go and carve out your own identity. You could be unapologetically you, and then you can see who is willing to support and kind of like jump behind that. You know what I'm saying? To the point where people spent money to come to town just to hang out with you. That's crazy in a good way. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it should be. And that's like, okay, we should build on these things. And then because we're building out community, here we are where 3Wealth is doing the first podcast for the Blacklist. That's how it's supposed to go. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. Awesome.
Appreciate your write up too as well on the IG. I
Thank
was like,
you.
oh, okay, cool.
I mean, little razzle dazzle, a little something. But so Greg, I have another question. How do the overall atmosphere and energy compare to your expectations?
Outdid them. Like I'm not I guess like fortunately, I'm super low maintenance. So whenever you say, like, whenever we doing something, if I'm like, yo, and I learned, these are things that I learned in the Blacklist and transitioning, like even doing Oso Radio, right? I know what it's like to go into a space and you're doing something fundamentally different than what the majority is doing. And as a result, you're only getting like maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 people to actually support or listen to that. So I've done that, right? And then I've seen it grow and grow and then transition to another space and grow. And then other homies come onto that platform and it grow and it grow. Once you look behind the curtain, you can't unsee what you saw, right? So that's been my experience. So if 5 people would have showed up that weekend, to me, it would have been like, okay, all right, now we have a base. We know what we're dealing with. So the next time around, we might need to try this, or we might need to do this, or we might need to wait, or we might, you know what I mean? You can figure those things out. The whole thing of it is to do it, to give yourself a point of reference. You know what I mean?
Right.
You need some type of data. You need something to be able to look at and say, okay, this was the outcome. So for the next time around, how can we sort of start to dictate that outcome a little bit more, right? And that's kind of where I was coming from. So if 5 people would have showed up, I would have been like, yo, this is incredible. You know what I mean?
I love it.
I never had like oh, we about to pack it out, or this about to be crazy, or this about to be, I never had that expectation. You know what I mean? I never did. That's part of the reason. And me and Mar would talk about it like during Skate-a-thon, when it was like everybody was saying, oh, let's all get together at Skate-a-thon. On the surface, fantastic idea, right? But it's just a little shy of the big picture for me, because everybody's coming to Georgia for Skate-a-thon.
Right.
It's like a cheat code. I don't get the opportunity to actually see who's supporting us, because
Correct.
a lot of you are already in town for Skate-a-thon, right?
Mhm.
Where if we do it outside of that by ourselves, and then you not force, but you put people in a position where it's like, no, bro, you have to take an unplanned trip to Atlanta, right? Now that's different, you know what I mean?
Right.
And now we get the opportunity to actually see what it is for real, and how many it is for real. You know what I mean? And there's no right or wrong answer to that. You know what I mean? The worst case scenario, the 3 of us would have just been in Spice House playing for anybody who came to eat that night.
Right.
And at that point, that's not even bad, because I would have been playing with my brothers. So it's like, hey man, we still would have had the same amount of fun, but none of us would have sat there and be like, dang, ain't nobody in here. Yo, this is nuts. None of us. It just would have been like being in my basement at the house. So it's not really a losing situation. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate you just being a leader and allowing people to follow your steps of just action. A lot of times we put expectations on things and we don't move out of fear, like, oh, it's not going to happen, or we're not going to have these people that's going to show. But I just appreciate you and everything that you've done in the past, all of your events, that you are just about action. You do it. Like you said, you have a base, so you have a measure from where to go from there, and then, moving forward. So just being a leader in that aspect is just motivation for me. So
No, thank you. I appreciate you consistent in that. You've always said those things.
awesome. So let's dive in some of the behind the scenes details. What were probably some challenges that you may have faced throughout the event or throughout organizing the event, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Challenges that I've made face. I'm not going front. And I'm actually nervous because if this is any indication of what it's like throwing the event, then I think I got pretty much like a spoiled hand. You know what I mean? Like, I'll relate it like this. When I did my first album, I worked with Cooley and AJ, right? It's the first time I stepped into like, I'm gonna make an album and I'm gonna work with artists. Work with Cooley and AJ. When I tell you the process of working with them was like so easy. It was second nature. Like, there was no hiccups. There was no times where I'm sitting there like, man, I'm waiting for AJ or I'm waiting for it. Never happened. Like, everything was just, it went so well, right? So then when I start working on the second album, I'm working with more artists. So it's about 9 artists on this joint. And I'm sending music and I'm waiting months to get back. And I'm like, yo, what is going on? So like, I'm calling AJ and AJ got to talk me off the ledge. And he like, yo, you dealing with artists. I had never experienced it because I worked with them first. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say, doing the Blacklist weekend this time around is similar to what it was like making my first album. I had no hiccups. So now it makes me like, yo, we go back and do this again. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because naturally you have to anticipate something's going to happen.
Right.
I don't necessarily know what the what is, you know what I mean? But my saving grace, or the thing that makes me optimistic about it, is the other side of that coin. We did the first event and I work with people like Mar, I work with people like Tranz, and we all got to see it at the same time in real time, right? So when you go back to go do it again, now it's not just me trying to like maybe put certain things in place or figure certain things out. Now I have the eyes and ears of other people that saw it the first time, and they can more they can, from a more experienced standpoint, bring their ideas and point of views to the table. You know what I mean? And then we can make like really good decisions. So I don't have a behind the scenes thing that happened where I just was like, bro, this is blowing me. I don't have it.
I just no more.
Yeah. I don't. I didn't have no, outside of what Tranz talked about on the outset of this podcast about the crossfader thing.
Yeah.
That's it. And they ain't even nothing to complain about. That's just a bunch of how many DJs it takes to screw in a light bulb. That was one of those moments.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And thinking back over the event, Greg, would you change anything?
Would I change anything? No. Wouldn't change nothing. I wish I so there's a fine line between what you could realistically do and what you unrealistically can do.
Mhm.
The things that I would change probably have more to do with what was unrealistic. You know what I mean? But it doesn't matter because it was unrealistic in the first place, right? And that's like, oh yeah, like y'all came to Spice House and Bobby Brown performed. I mean, but like, nah, I don't have that moment. I think everything went off the way it was supposed to. You know what I mean? And you learn what you learn along the way. Like, you learn, one thing I can say I learned unapologetically was, regardless of who you collaborate with, regardless of who you tap, and regardless of what those people tell you, like, yeah, I got you, or yeah, we get this, no matter what, it's your thing. So the execution and the follow through is always on you, no matter what. So like, regardless of what anybody says, or regardless of how passionate they sound when they say it, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? The execution and the follow through is always on me. And to that end, if they do it, fantastic. If they don't do it, it doesn't matter, right? It's on me, you know what I'm saying? And then you just learn for the next go around or moving forward, you just learn either how to better communicate or you learn who not to necessarily, you know what I mean? But that, yeah.
Were there any surprises or unexpected moments that you guys felt happened during the event?
I had one, maybe two, but I had one, and I think it worked out for the best though. So initially, the response I got Sunday, like I loved every minute of it because everybody really came in to Clutch like, Mar, why you not DJing? Now that was a scheduling conflict. We kind of hitched our wagon to what was going on with that. So I kind of became like the DJ MC for the festivities that was going on. But the night before, I was still able to perform, but I also had my guys with me because it was going to be, Greg had the coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, we was going to do that together. We was going to combine our shows together. But then Greg was like, nah, you're going to go to Clutch because they have a thing called Brunch and Beats. You got Rhythm and Beats, so you'll do that. So we separated it. When that didn't happen, of course it's going to hit your morale a little bit. But when you look back, the night before, I was able to get everything I needed to get out. It may not have been in that restaurant, but everybody got the message like, yo, like, you killed it. And I got nothing but compliments and praise. And mind you, we laughed because I didn't hook up my hard drives.
Yeah.
Just an autopilot. I was just playing. Like I didn't have to dive in no crates or nothing. I just opened the laptop, just started playing. I gave Tranz the look. Tranz gave his boo a kiss. I'll be right back. And he went on the stage. That was it.
No, that's true. That's true. Oh, it's the other things that you can create out of it, right? Like he said, originally we were going to do the coffee shop and rhythm and beats as one thing, right? But then as it shakes out and things kind of continue to progress and pieces come into play, it was like, oh, you know what? He do brunch and beats because it's rhythm and beats, right? But the whole point of it is not just about putting on a weekend and everybody enjoying it, but you also try to move pieces in place to create the next opportunity, right? So that was the thing. It was, hey, he wasn't even going to play Saturday night at all, right? He was like, I'm not playing Saturday at all because I'm playing at Brunch and Beats on Sunday, right? So he was like, I'm going to do my thing there. But in true roadie brother fashion, it was like, yeah, we're going to set up the equipment. And then as we set up the equipment, things just progressed the way they progressed. You know what I'm saying? But he came to Brunch and Beats and they had something going on. And he held it down like a trooper, right? But he didn't get to do what he anticipated doing.
Right.
But out of it turned into an opportunity to come back and headline Brunch and Beats. You know what I'm saying? Just like playing the rink Sunday, we did an amazing job, standing ovation Sunday night after the session. It navigated an opportunity for him to come back and do it again. You know what I mean? So now those like sort of community roots and all of those setting up the next opportunity, it keeps the snowball rolling downhill. And that's the point. You know what I mean? That's how it's supposed to be. Because at some point, like I know me, like I want to look up at some point and be like, yeah, me and Mar and this is just like hypothetically speaking, I'm not saying it's going to come out this way, but it's just the way you think. At some point, I want to be able to say, yeah, me and Mar alternate first Friday, Sundays now. You know what I mean? Or something like that. So then Atlanta, he can come to Atlanta once every other month and he headlines it, and then he could feature somebody he want to feature. And then the opposite month, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? But it's still a blacklist thing. You know what I mean? It could turn into that. You know what I'm saying? Or it could turn into, hey, 3 times a year, the blacklist do something at Brunch and Beats. It could turn into that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we've already kind of like laid the foundational notes to get it done. You know what I'm saying? When they do House in the Park here in Atlanta, like September, a lot of people might not necessarily come to Atlanta because Skate-a-thon's over, or they might come and they might show love to ATL Squad. But I can go to cocktails at Brunch and Beats and I'd be like, yo, it's house weekend, whatever the case may be. I got my man for brunch. Can I bring him in and we do house music here at Clutch? And I can have Tranz coming. We can, you know what I'm saying? So we can connect those dots. And that's how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And that's brothers looking out for brothers and constantly putting each other in position.
I love it. I enjoy it. And just for the listeners and for the viewers, right? What do you guys think made this event so unique or made it different from any event that you've hosted before, Greg, or any event that you guys have attended before? What made this event unique to you?
It was organic. It was like a family reunion. It was
Yeah.
like it had those type vibes. And next one, we giving Donna the mic because she was just all over the place. She was everywhere. But yeah, it wasn't forced. It was
Right.
one of the things where it was like you take people that probably never see each other on the
Mhm.
regular, and they meet at one spot every day, right? Well, every Tuesday they meet at one spot. Some choose to, just solicit one spot. Some choose all three spots. But you get people to come into town, take their hard-earned money, invest in people who they listen to in their lives every week, and you come in and say, I wanted to meet you, or yo, you really do your thing, and whatever the case may be. However you give your kudos up, whatever. But it was just organic. It wasn't forced. No, there was no palms greased. Like, yo, if you guys come in, I'll give you this. It was like everything was set up from the merch. Merch was on hand. Coffee shop. You actually got a chance to actually drink coffee,
Mhm.
buy coffee, and be in a coffee shop
Right.
all in one. It's a trifecta. You know what I'm saying? It just came together perfectly. Like you couldn't map that any better. Me and Greg, we talked. He was like, "Man, we just got to get this measuring stick so we know what we're working with." And I'm like, "Everything should be good because everybody's talking about it." You know what I'm saying? And surely enough, just to see the numbers and the gift bags, that's what told me what I needed to know. I seen the gift bags. I'm like, "What's all that?" He was like, "Yeah, yeah."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
Right.
Trans, you have anything to say?
I would say it would you don't realize how many people rocking out with you until they let you know. Because like I'll use my show for example. I would say because of timing, it's probably in that like twilight. It's a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, right? So like you said, you go to bed at 8 or 9, right? You ain't about to sit there and clock in and listen to 120 beats per minute for like 2 to 3 hours and be like, okay, it's time for me to go to bed.
Right.
That ain't gonna happen. So I may have 5 people rocking out with me, but I get more feedback from people like, yo, I listened to your reel the other night at work at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you got me through my third shift. So when the people that you normally see a little icon on the side of there, come up to tell you like, yo, I could not rock out with you last weekend, or last week, but I listened to your reel and man, it was so dope, man. It was so awesome. That is like awesome. Like you can't make that up. And to meet everybody and to see them, you could see how their names match their personalities.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah.
And to
way over here.
huh?
And Theo, he's tall. I didn't know he was that tall.
I had to look up to him. I'm like 6'2", and I'm like, yo, this rascal's like way up there. Like I'm looking at the bottom of his chin. I'm like, man.
Yeah, he's
It's true.
Greg, what's your input, Greg?
No, I think Mar said it best
Awesome.
organically.
Mhm.
I've had the privilege to put together a couple things since I started DJing. And this is the one thing that I can honestly say that it wasn't about who DJing.
Mm.
It wasn't about who all gonna be there. It wasn't about none of that. Like it was about literally how we all got it out the mud together from that chat room and we've built relationships and now we all about to go hang out. That's like to me the definition of something organically happening.
Yeah.
Like, even in the past when I'd done stuff and me and CC did like Just Vibes, like it was on the strength of certain people's social notoriety and things like that. And that's what kind of like brought people to this space, right? you DJing, how you DJ'd, who you are, that was an afterthought. You know what I mean? Didn't matter. It was like, and me and Cece tried to do things in a way where, all right, we're just gonna infuse this thing with like some genuine energy, and that's gonna make people rock with us. And it panned out in the end, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people who still to this day come up to her and come up to me and be like, man, y'all party was this, yeah, and they base it off of how they come to understand me and CCR as people, right? Where the blacklist is something that, we built that joint from scratch. And it wasn't a question of like how much this costs or what this costs. Things like the emoji gang, things like the bring your own cup crew, things like the coffee mugs in the chat. The fact that y'all let me text y'all from a number that, you know what I mean?
Right.
All of that stuff to me is like, yo, this is super cool. You know what I mean? It's super cool. And it's it created genuine interactions. I think we've made a genuine community. You know what I mean? Donna done put I started calling Donna the first lady of
Yes.
Blacklist, and she changed her name to the first lady, like that type of stuff, right? You know what I mean? Even Donna walk around. I don't know if y'all know this. This is funny. So Demolo Flacco, when he performed, right, the first performer, he rapped, he did his songs. He had some of his people there. I don't know if that was his parents. I don't think it was his parents, but they were older people, right? And Donna walk in and she's saying what's up to everybody, and Donna's very like who you? What's your screen name? Like she's that, right? She walked up to him and she was like, so what's y'all screen name? They looking at her like, what? And she was like, y'all not on the blacklist? Then what y'all doing here? I'm like, Donna, you gotta yeah, yeah.
Oh,
She's like, but I enjoy that about her. You know,
yeah.
when we went to a bar one time and she came and Cece and then was there, she was like, so why you don't listen to the blacklist? And like she really be
Checking.
yeah.
Yes.
I think that's so cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
That is super cool to me, right? And you don't anybody she said that to, because of the sort of, I guess, like demeanor she has, the spirit that she has, ain't nobody listen to that and take it personal. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? They all kind of knew like what that meant or where that was coming from.
Right.
That was cool. And the cherry on top was to do all of that and my parents be there. That was cool.
Greg, I did not. That was a highlight for me. I was talking to your mom, asking her about the food, not even know that was your mom. And then I found out and I was like, oh snap. So then when I met them at Clutch Sunday,
Yeah.
yes. And I was like, and it was just, I don't know, it touched my heart. I think like that was such support.
Yeah.
They were there the whole time, every event, rocking out, enjoying. That was so beautiful to me. That was really dope.
Yep. Yeah. That's always cool. My dad called me. We'll talk about the radio. My dad, he gave me his feedback. Next time you need to, you know what I mean? But it was cool. Like what he actually said was like practical stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it's cool because like he went to LA with me and Lamar about a month or so ago. My parents came down for first Sunday last month and hung out, just sitting at the rink, and then for them to come and do this, it's like, all right, yeah. And so
Yeah.
that's amazing.
That's so dope. And for me, I think it was an overall well-rounded event. You built intimacy at the coffee shop. We got to meet some of your artists. We got to meet each other. I feel like a full-fledged house party on Saturday night at the Spice House. We go from listening hearing turntables to we on the mic. Should have got on the mic.
You should have.
No, I was I didn't want to do too much. I would do too much.
You the
But I
mic.
feel like
Next party, we give you the mic.
Yep.
Okay,
Pick you up and
pick
everything.
my song. I gotta pick my song first. But yeah.
I'm
And
gonna have
so-
to do the Eric B. I ain't no joke.
There you go. You should have rapped that. We're gonna get a mic. When I say three, you say wealth. Three, wealth.
It was a very well-rounded event, and then ending the night on Sunday skating. I don't know. The event was love itself overall. So I'm glad I was able to be there and to attend. So we are about to wrap up. Greg, please tell us what is next for the Blacklist, and we all want to know. Do you have any insight on the next Blacklist weekend? Give us some insight. What's going on? Let us know.
All right. So as far as the next weekend, there has been conversations. I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
There's been conversations amongst the squad, trying to see what that looked like, what that could be, where that could be. Wink, wink. But I'm gonna tell you like this though, as far as it happening and actually coming to fruition, the rule is the same way this one organically happened is the same way we would want the next one to organically happen. So I don't want to give anybody the impression that we sitting around here saying, hey, December 2nd next year is Blacklist Weekend. I ain't saying that. I'm not even about to commit to that level of anxiety.
Right.
But
Right.
I am saying that as long as this community continues to operate and grow together as a community, then organically when it's time, and we'll do it. And whether that means we do another one next year, or whether that means we do 2 next year, I'm here for it. Long as we can do it in a way that's practical, we can do it in a way that's advantageous for everybody, and we can do it in a way that constantly promotes the like lovable community that we've come to have. As far as what's next, excuse me. Well, this is the first episode of the Blacklist podcast.
Let's go.
That's so now the Blacklist podcast is an official thing. It's on the website. You'll be able to go to the website, click the tab, it'll say Blacklist Podcast, and you can go and listen to these episodes. Or if you on your phone, you'll be able to go to the blacklist.com, click the plus sign, and you'll see the tab. It's all the same. The intention is to get the audio version of these podcasts to be on iTunes, Spotify, etc., etc. The visual will likely end up being on Tone, which is a streaming platform I've been sitting on far too long.
Yeah.
So these visuals will be on Tone more than likely, which again, you'll be able to access Tone via blacklist.com. So that's next. January will be the first official coffee shop sessions. And that would be for all of the fine folks who did it past the aux set. I'm thinking on Wednesdays at 12 o'clock, we'll broadcast those sessions, but it'll be like you have your own space. So instead of me playing it as a part of my coffee shop show on Tuesday, and then you can hear me talking or dropping the mic saying things, instead, we want to work with those who submit a set to do their own drops and their own commentary, and then we can actually put it together. So it's almost like you host your own show for an hour and 10 minutes on Wednesday, and that'll be coffee shop sessions. Rhythm and Beats is going to continue to rock as it is and continue to grow and mature. Even the house music with the house doctor. And he's right. To his point, I went back and looked at the analytics and his show reel numbers, because that's a new feature that Mixlr has opened up over the last 4 or 5 months, where like now, or 4 months, you could go back and look at how many people listen to your show reel. And his show reel numbers be crazy. In fact, he does more replays than all of us, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of people go back and listen to the house session. So just constantly seeing those things grow and mature. And that's kind of it. Like the media element, blogs, 3LACKLIST is going to bless the platform with blogs. We're looking at doing that as often as possible. And this podcast is going to be a revolving chair. So it's not a dedicated host to the podcast. Some of these episodes might be me talking to somebody dope. Tiff will be talking to somebody dope. Choosy Music will be talking to somebody dope. Mar might be talking to somebody dope. So, and shout out to Coach Danny. Coach Danny is officially a part of the podcast team. She'll be doing our post-production on these joints. So again, poaching people from within the community to do things to prop up the community. So that's what we got going on here. So again, this podcast would be a revolving seat for that type of thing. And yeah, man. But again, all of this happened organically. I'm not running around here saying, yo, you know what we need? I'm not doing that. It just, when it come together, it come together. So
let me just add this. Let me add this. This event, this Blacklist family, it's going to evolve. So the first one, our main event was Sparkles. That don't necessarily mean that the next one is going to be at a rink.
Right.
So every time we link up, we're going to try to raise the bar and add different elements. Hell, we might do a wine tasting. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, we don't want to just be stationary and it just be, oh, yeah, well, you know, it's the Blacklist, but we skate. No, this is going to be like, this is going to be like, we could do a luau, actual beach party. We can do anything we want to do because there's no boundaries. A lot of events that people commit to, It's about routine and boundaries.
Yeah.
Like Greg said, we could have did it during skate-a-thon, but people are coming down for skate-a-thon. That's Joy. That's her thing. That was her send-off. So it would kind of be a cheat code to get 150 people to vibe with us. And then when we put something together and we plan for 200, only 30 show up.
Right.
Now, we don't spend all this money. Nah.
Yeah.
It's always going to evolve. It's never going to be the same. The only thing that's going to stay the same is the characters.
Yes.
We'll probably add more.
Sure.
I mean, we actually do have a larger family, but because of whatever, life be life, and as Greg would say,
Yep.
couldn't make it.
Yep.
So, because yeah.
One thing I will say that I look forward to doing, and again, when the time is right and when it makes sense to do it, I do look forward to, like, as the community grows and we get more people that listen and more people that come hang out with us and things like that, I do look forward to an opportunity to be able to, like, have a certain crop of people that are grandfathered into certain elements of the blacklist because of being day one. You know what I mean? As the space grow and as the platform grow, sure, you can do more and you have broader reach, but, like, there's certain people that I always want to, like, you know what I mean, like your day ones, you know what I mean? Like all of y'all, like this weekend, y'all got black cards, you know what I'm saying? And I want that to mean something beyond we listen to the blacklist. So I want, like, as time progresses and this, like I said, the platform grows and the audience broadens and stuff like that, I want that to have, like, a certain special thing where, yeah, if you were one of those, then this hits a little bit different. Or you're able to get a certain level of access that not necessarily everybody else can get. You know what I mean? So
Because I want to be in the number. Look, I want to be the day ones.
yeah, even Glenn, like, quiet as kept. Well, I can't even say that, but even Glenn, the owner of Sparkles, like, we had an amazing conversation because he really liked the concept of y'all coming to the door and showing his car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I'm looking forward to, like, even in the future, like, y'all call and say, hey, I'm coming to town for First Sunday or something like that. Okay, cool. Every time you come, just show that card and you good. I'm putting things like that in place. You know what I'm saying?
I came to the window. He's like, showed him the card. He's like, "Oh, you're part of the party pass or something like that."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. See, he didn't know. I called him and told him. And then at the rink that night, that's when we officially had a conversation. We have a great relationship. So we had that conversation then. But, like, again, since all you have one now, then I want to be able to, like, not even because of something the blacklist is doing, just you're in town and you're coming to a First Sunday specifically, right? And you like, yo, I'm coming to First Sunday, such and such all right, well, you bring your black card and you can skate for free. Being able to do that kind of, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Or, like, another thing that's coming is you guys will officially be able to go to dopecoffee.com and purchase whatever you want to purchase, and check out. If you put in Greg Nyce, you get 15% off your purchase. So that's coming. Yeah. So stuff like that, man.
That's
Stuff.
Well, I appreciate you guys' time, and there you have it. Thank you, Greg Nyce, DJ Tranz, and DJ Mar, for giving us your insights and your reflections about the event. For our listeners, please stay tuned for more Blacklist content. Until then, I am Tiffany Peterson from 3 Wealth. I'm signing off. Remember to trust your dopeness and create you. We're out.